All right, we've officially reached the point in the NFL season when Pete Prisco cries, "Is anybody even any good?"
This is the week.
It's
This is definitely the week.
Power Rankings Hour, which is only like, 30 minutes or so because Pete has to go do something else. Afternoon nap, right?
I'm not one of those
No,
guys
he's
that
got to
ever
hit the
takes
other
a nap.
studio. You got to go work with producer Noah. Here are his power rankings with no 5-0 teams for the first time in 11 years, with the Eagles and Bills both being upset at home. That gives us a new number one. It's the Lions, who won for fourth straight time. They've got Kansas City on Sunday Night Football in KC. They are on a tier all to their own. It's just the new number one tier. Everyone else dropping into the chasing a championship tier, including the Steelers there at number 5. Wow, they jump up 4 spots on a bye. And then the playoffs loading. Here come the Jags at number 8 into the top 10. Let's get into it. You heard Pete Prisco. You may have also heard Leger Douzable. We will start with the Detroit Lions, Pete. You can't argue with what they've done and how they've looked, the 4 straight wins. But how concerning is it that they're now without their top 2 cornerbacks for maybe some time?
Very. And anytime you don't have your corners on a defense that really has Hutchinson and not a lot else to really
Correct.
passer, that's a major problem. So I am concerned about that. But boy, oh boy, offensively, they're outstanding. I mean, Jared Goff doesn't get the due he deserves.
Yep.
He's playing great football right now. He's in the MVP conversation. They can run it. They can throw it. They still haven't gotten Jamison Williams going in the passing game. That's still to come. So we haven't seen the best of this offense yet. But I think defensively there are concerns going forward starting this week at Kansas City.
This was their ailment last year. They got hit with the injury bug, more specifically in the secondary. So that's a big concern when you lose 2 of your top 3 corners going forward. But you talked about Aiden Hutchinson. Seemed like he was trying to feel his way through the first couple of weeks. He's starting to be that guy that was probably the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year last year before he got hurt. And I know you said there's not much others, but Al-Q Muhammad has played really well opposite of him. So, like, when you look at this offense, that's a well-balanced breakfast. I know people were questioning, John Morton in the beginning of the year, like when they played the Green Bay Packers, what is this offense? Are they going to be good without Ben Johnson? It's an acclimation period, Pete, and they've been one of the most explosive, if not the most explosive offense in football since that Week 1 loss to Green Bay. I truly agree with Pete. They should be the number 1 team on this power ranking.
All right, you had the previous 2 unbeaten teams, the Eagles and the Bills, each dropping 1 spot respectively. I was kind of wondering if the Eagles would tumble, just because they've been outgained in every game and they finally drop one, but they don't.
Okay, I considered putting the Bucs ahead of them, but they beat the Bucs.
Yeah.
So why not the Bills? Why didn't you consider the Bills to go ahead of the Eagles?
Well, because they just lost to the Patriots at home.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots aren't as good. I don't think the Patriots are as good as the Broncos, so that kind of played into it as well. That's why I didn't drop them down. Plus, a lot of teams lost in the middle of the game.
Yeah, they did.
Good teams you would normally maybe have moved up, they lost these games. So, look, I'm concerned about the Eagles. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not, because they've won games. You can look at it 2 ways. They won 4 games by not playing their best football. Is that a sign of a really good team that's just not playing well? Or are you majorly concerned? And I look at it the other way. They blew the game last week against the Broncos. You should win that game. You have a lead in that game at home. You're supposed to win that game. So is there concerns? Yes, but I still think they're a darn good football team.
Yeah, looking at both of these teams, the Eagles game, I just, for the life of me, Kevin Petula, I love the balance he showed in the first quarter, but to only have 8 carries between both of your backs for 42 yards, so they were actually running it well. They were averaging over 5.5 yards a carry. You can't drop Jalen Hurts back almost 40 times in a game and expect to win. That's just not Eagles football. So they got to get Saquon Barkley going. Thankfully for them, short week. You had a loss. You played the Giants on Thursday Night Football, so you can get that bad taste out of your mouth. Pete, we have been talking about the Bills because I think a little bit of them playing down to the competition ailed them in this last game. Because we both said they haven't been playing up to the standard, especially on offense. But now the defense didn't play that well either. Drake May outdueled Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen and this Bills team for 26 straight weeks had won the turnover battle. They lost it significantly in this game, 3-1. So when you look at it, I'm not overly concerned with the Bills. Hopefully this loss comes at the right time for them and they'll get their mind right. But the schedule does get a lot tougher for them going down the stretch than it does for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the schedule's definitely tougher, but I mean, also you look at the next 2; they should win the next 2.
You say that the Panthers are undefeated at home. For some reason, they're a different team at home. And
the Falcons beat the Commanders.
And I was going to say, and they actually just had a bye. So they get extra time to prepare for Josh Allen and the Bills. So, and then you look at it, Buccaneers, Texans are starting to get healthy.
I think the Bills need to go back to letting Allen play looser and freer.
I think so?
I do. I just think, you know how many, they don't throw the ball down the field at all.
Yeah.
They don't, nothing. They get nothing out of their passing game down the field.
To me, the biggest issue, though, and we talked about this when we were talking about James Cook getting that deal, and I was like, Pete, they got to be careful because I don't think people understand how important he is to that offensive line and that zone scheme. When Josh Allen leads you in rushing, it doesn't bode well for his team. That was the first game this year. He didn't lead them
in rushing, but he also needs to get the ball down the field.
But I think them not being able to run with James Cook really affected that game.
You don't get chunk plays in a passing game, you're not winning in this.
Are the wide receivers not getting separation, or are they just not trying?
Well,
you got to think that was a really good defense, first and foremost. Let's give some respect to the Patriots.
They covered well the other night.
That might be the best trio of corners in the league.
Because that was the big question in the last couple of years. Well, they don't have any wide receivers anymore.
Correct.
Well, they don't have any burners. They do not have burners.
Josh Palmer was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah, hasn't worked out yet.
Yeah.
I think they'll get him going, definitely. My concern is Tre'Davious White has to get off the field.
Yeah.
They need Hairston back. And when Hairston gets back, then I think they become a better defense.
All right, both teams on the road this week and in primetime games, the Bills and the Eagles. How about the Colts?
Yeah.
They would be the number 1 seed in the AFC right now, Leger. They're number 6 for Pete.
You know, I've been on them high for a while. Indiana Jones. And Pete, this isn't your big brothers.
When were you on them?
Have I not been saying give love? And you're like, they got to keep playing people. Has he not been saying that? They haven't played anybody. You are who you are.
You didn't pick them to win the division.
No, but since the beginning
5 weeks ago, you weren't on.
I would say week 2, I was on them. Before everybody else, and you were like, nah, I need to see a little more. They haven't played on the road. And I'm like, nah, this is the Daniel.
They whacked the Dolphins, you jumped on?
I saw how efficient the offense was. That was the issue. You know this, Pete. The last 2 seasons, they were 1 game away from the playoffs. Right. They had inept quarterback play. And I kept saying this. Shane Steichen felt like if he can get the Daniel Jones from 2022 with the Giants, which he's actually surpassed that. He's playing better than that guy, that he felt like he had the subsequent pieces around to make a playoff push. And right now, Daniel Jones has to be a top 3 candidate in the MVP race for how he's played. Now, this isn't your big brother and big sister's AFC South. I know, Pete, going into the season, we all thought this was going to be a lapdog division. This might actually be one of the strongest divisions if the Texans can turn things around, because the way Jacksonville's playing, the way the Indianapolis that's not going to be an easy out when you play an AFC South team. So I love everything that Indiana Jones is doing. And Jonathan Taylor, he might be the front runner for Offensive Player of the Year, how he's playing, not only running the football, but catching it out of the backfield.
Look, if Daniel Jones continues to play the way he's playing, they're going to be a playoff team and more.
Yeah.
I mean, that they are playing really good football. But, and I'm going to always put the but.
He loves that but.
Dolphins, Titans, Raiders.
Broncos.
Right. Dolphins. That
was at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know how good they are yet. We just don't.
I mean, but the schedule pans out good for them.
But
though.
Again, when you go on the road against good teams, that's going to be the time we'll get a real gauge for.
I would say that. So how did you, because we talked about this, how did you feel after that Rams game? Because I feel like if A.D. Mitchell does, they say if A.D. So to me, that should give you the confidence.
But they should have lost the Broncos game.
Because of the field goal kick.
Right.
Yeah. But to me, that shows that they are that playoff caliber team right now.
Well, we saw the Rams lose to the bad 49ers team the other day, so we don't know about.
Are they bad though?
No, Mac Jones.
He's proving it to you again.
No, he's not. He's not.
To Leger's point about that division, here come the Jaguars. Biggest win in several years, beat the Chiefs, and they're up to number 8, Pete.
And look, offensively, we haven't seen the best of them yet.
Yeah.
We started to see, I think what you saw on the last drive is you're going to start seeing more of that. And in that game, you get Travis Hunter down the middle of the field. He's going to become more effective. Brian Thomas caught the ball on the sideline. That might have been one of the best throws we've seen all year by anybody.
For sure.
And then he hits the out route to De'Ami Brown. He started feeling it a little bit. He was playing looser, and I think Trevor Lawrence needs to play looser. He ran. He wasn't doing that all year.
Correct.
He ran with the football. He escaped pressure. And I think that they're ready to really get more out of the passing game on offense. Defensively, not having Trayvon Walker showed up in a big way. Because what he gives them is, A, good against the run, ability to rush the passer, and that changes how you play on defense. So once they get him back, I think defensively they'll be fine as well. They're not a great defense. They take the ball away, and they can be a serviceable, good defense, because Anthony Campanelli, the defensive coordinator, does a great job calling defenses.
Besides the transactions on the offensive line, Anthony Campanelli has been the biggest transaction for this team. The way Devin Lloyd is playing, he's playing like Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, the wherewithal to mug in the A-gap and understand once the center turns to you, the other guy has to drop out. And Patrick Mahomes even spoke about this in the press conference. He was like, they hadn't really done that before, and we just knew we had a touchdown with Juju. He gets right up under that, picks it off, and takes it to the house. I love everything about what Anthony Campanelli, he takes the issue to the offense, no matter who you are, even if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence, that was a growth moment for him because it was a roller coaster, Pete. Them first 2 plays, I was like, this is awful clock management. You have to understand, right? The first play, you get about 5 or 6 yards. I get it, right? Next play, you're rolling to the left. You take a loss, throw it out. Like, what are you doing? But to Pete's point, that wasn't just one of the best throws this season. That might have been Trevor Lawrence's best throw ever. Like, literally,
of the best throws for any quarterback.
that whole shot in cover 2, and then to back it up with a De'Ami Brown out route, he put that out in front where only De'Ami Brown could catch it, who had some drops earlier in the game.
Travis Hunter open for a touchdown in the middle of the field. You know me, I nip.
Yeah, I was going to say, so me and him were tweeting last night because he talked about on those 2 earlier runs, he had people open, but I love that he was decisive, right? When, as soon as he got to his backdrop and he saw that it was man coverage, he's taking off. We've seen Patrick Mahomes do that so many times, like, I'm going to put the team on my back. Even if guys are open, I know I'm not going to turn it over by getting crucial first downs, and I love that Trevor Lawrence used his mobility last night.
4 new teams into Pete Prisco's top 10, including the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix bringing him back in Philadelphia. Can we put the potential sophomore slump narrative to rest for now?
It was there, and in the first half of that game, it was certainly there. But he woke up in the second half, and I think that's important for him and for this team going forward. We know they're good on defense. They can get after the quarterback. They have guys who can cover on the back end, although Moss had a rough go of it the other day. I think when you look at them offensively, he has to play like he did in the second half for them to be a deep playoff team. And if he can continue to build off of that, they're going to be a good football team.
Before I go into the Denver Broncos, because you know I picked them to win the division, Jack, do we have the schedule for the Denver Broncos? I want to pull that up. We don't have it. Well, I will say this: the Denver Broncos are playing at a different level right now, and honestly, they should be undefeated, right? We talked about the Indianapolis Colts game. If a guy on special teams doesn't land on a guy, they win that game as well. If Bo Nix just hits 1 out of the 4 throws down the field, they beat the Chargers and they're undefeated right now. I love his growth in the second half. He played with so much confidence. And Pete, we talk about this all the time. Sean Payton does make it easy for him because he changes the launch point. He gets him outside the pocket so he can see the entire picture. That throw to Evan Ingram in the red zone, rolling to his left, right, and then throwing back left to Evan, that was a thing of beauty. Now, again, it was a defensive tackle on him, but still, the wherewithal to understand what the defense was doing and then to find Evan Ingram for that touchdown, that was massive. And then I love that Sean Payton had the confidence to say, we're going to go for 2 and win this game. I know you didn't like that, but look at this, Pete, right? They just beat the Eagles. Look at those next 3 or 4 games.
Well, they got a bye week in week 6.
That's what I'm saying. He's just going to kick us while we down, huh, Jets?
The Giants,
the Cowboys who have struggled on defense. Like, they literally could like stretch out this lead in the division. We talked about the Chargers earlier in the season. Right now, the injury bug is killing their offensive line. Justin Herbert was beat to a pulp by the Commanders this last Sunday. So this Denver Broncos team, we know the Chiefs have the Lions this week. They can start to stretch in this division over the next couple of weeks.
Sean Payton's a heck of a coach.
Yeah.
He really is. Even if he went for 2 and I didn't agree with it.
I love that call.
No. Huh?
You said that
I've
just
had
'cause you're
arguments
friends
with him over the years. You kidding me?
You would never argue with him. You're scared of him. That's what I heard. Yeah,
I'm not scared of
the
anybody.
newsroom's buzzing about you being scared.
You know, there's
of him.
only 2 things I'm
You're
scared
carrying
of.
his water.
You know, there's only 2
What are
things.
the 2 things?
Yeah, we can't say it on
Same
TV.
here.
That's Pete Prisco's top 10. NFL Today Plus, they're going to be heading on the road again in a few weeks for Chiefs-Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Another big game coming up.
Kyle is going to just mutilate a table, I'm sure. Look at how crowded the I don't know, Jim tier has become. Pete, can you give me the I don't know, Jim? I don't know, Jim. It's the entire teens of Pete Prisco's power rankings with some winning teams like the Patriots and Seahawks and Chargers. The Chiefs now into this category at 16. The Chiefs, not a winning team. Under 500 once again at 2-3 after losing at Jacksonville. We're going to start there with Pete Prisco and Leger Douzable. Do you really not know about the Chiefs at this point? I know you call this a must-win this week against the Lions.
No, we don't know. I mean, 1 week they're good on offense, and 1 week they're good on defense.
Before the season, you were convinced that they would be better this year than they had.
Well, they
What's
also
gone
had,
wrong?
I mean, not having Worthy for a while matters, and I think their offensive line didn't play as well up until the last couple of weeks.
Correct.
But what I saw from their defense on Monday night really concerns me. I mean, where was the pass rush? Where were those guys? They have big money invested in Chris Jones and Karlaftis, and where were they for most of that game? I'm concerned about them defensively. But I do think that offensively they're starting to come alive, and that's the good thing. Pacheco started looking like Pacheco last night. That looked like, it took him a while to get going off the injury last year, but I think he's starting to look like Pacheco. I think offensively they'll be fine. They have to manufacture that. They have to get the pass rush going, and can't be standing around watching plays like Chris Jones was on the last play of the game.
Man, that was bad. That's a bad look for Chris Jones. But you talked about it, Pete. The defense is a concern, and this goes back to what I've been saying all year long. We've always been able to finger point one thing and say, this is what the Chiefs' identity is. Do we know what it is this year? And I think that's been the issue with them going down this season. You see it, games against the Lions coming up, Commanders, Bills, Broncos. So they still got a gauntlet of a schedule, and you can't count them out, right? This is a dynasty. But there are some concerns because it's just like 1 week the offense isn't playing well, 1 week the defense, and then the special teams snafus. Like, we're not accustomed to seeing that from the Chiefs. They out-execute everybody, but it's been the total opposite. Last year, they won 11 one-score games. They're 0-3 this year, in one-score games. So, they haven't been able to finish. They haven't been able to execute. And to Pete's point, I think going into the season, my question was that secondary besides Trent McDuffie, right? Jalen Watson, he was coming back from injury. They were expecting him to take another leap. He hasn't really taken a leap. Shamari Connor gets the PI at the end of the game. They've played him in the slot at safety. I still think they're missing Trent McDuffie in the slot, but they can't put him back in there because they don't have the subsequent depth on the outside. So when you look at this Chiefs team, again, I think the biggest question for them is they got to figure out what their identity is for the 2025 season.
Having said all that, the schedule the next 3 weeks, they're at home. Lions, then the next one is, I think, the
Raiders, if I'm not mistaken.
Raiders and Commanders. If they beat the Lions, they will win all 3 of those games. And then all of a sudden,
that Commanders game ain't going to be no cakewalk.
They'll beat the Commanders.
Old Wild Bill Korsky-Mary might have something to say about that.
By the way, I'm going to say it right now. They're going to win all 3 of those.
That's a tough schedule. I mean, it seems like they're playing marquee games every week.
No, the schedule's tough, but the next 3 weeks, the Lions. If the Lions
then
were
they got the
truly
Bills
healthy
and
on
then the Broncos and then the Colts and then the Cowboys.
It goes back to what we said last year, though. The Lions are going to have a shot just because of that offense. No matter what, that game can literally come down to who gets the ball last.
Correct.
Right. So if the Lions get it last, they're probably going to win the game.
I think the Chiefs win that game. So I also think they win the next 3. I think they're going to
lose at least one of them.
They're going to go to Buffalo with 3 wins in a row to get their record back where it should be.
All right.
Clip it, Jack. Clip it.
To the next tier. It's the Jeff Fisher mid-tier, and it's the Ravens at 1-4, 7.5-point underdogs this week at home to the Rams. Lamar Jackson's probably not playing again, so that might fall to 1-5.
But the funny thing is, Vegas still has them as the betting odds to win the division.
So it's their schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Their schedule lightens up. And me and Pete talked about it. They're still a realm where the Ravens could go on a run and make a playoff run if everybody comes back healthy, if that defense turns things around. Now, the thing is, everybody's been hurt on the defense, but even when people were healthy, they weren't playing particularly well, and Nnamdi Madubuike won't be coming back. So they got bludgeoned. Honestly, I feel like it was that Detroit Lions game that changed the season for the Ravens because they got bludgeoned on both sides of the football in that game, and they just have not recovered. It's like one of those boxers that got beat up and just his psyche is just taken away from him. That's what it feels like with the Baltimore Ravens right now. So right now the Steelers are in the driver's seat. They still have stronger games down the stretch because their schedule's kind of been light to start the season as well.
The Browns this week, they're favored.
Exactly. So the one team that was actually significantly probably better than them was the Seahawks, and they beat them, right? So when you look at it, the Steelers are in the driver's seat, but if the Ravens could get everybody healthy, there is a path for them.
You got to get healthy. You got to get Lamar back. And if Lamar comes back, is he Lamar? I mean, that's the question. If he comes back with the hamstring injury, can he move around the way he normally does? Those are still issues out there. But I think they'll get it going. The Ravens have too much talent on their team when they're on the field, and they'll get it going. The schedule's really soft. This is going to come down to the final week of the season.
100%.
The Steelers and the Ravens. You watch. It always works out that way. I think it'll come out that way. But I don't recognize this damn Ravens team. They don't tackle, they don't block, they don't hit, they don't run the ball. Henry does nothing. Yeah. I mean, who are they? And you could talk all you want about Cooper Rush being there. He doesn't play defense. Yeah. They turned an offense that was almost inept in Houston for most of the season into an explosive unit. That's how bad they are on defense right now. So they better get going on that side of the ball, or else it doesn't matter what Lamar Jackson does.
Leger, as a former player, would you rather lose the way the Ravens lost last week, where you just get embarrassed, it's a blowout, or you lose like the Cardinals?
That's tough. A loss sucks either way, but probably a blowout because you can throw that tape out and be like, "This isn't who we are, guys." So but to lose,
who they are this year.
it is. But but it's also this is who the Cardinals have been, right? When you look at it, the last 3 losses, they've had leads in all those games
and lost on the last second field goal.
Exactly, and every single one of them. But this one took the cake. This was hands down the worst regular season loss I've ever seen a team succumb to, being up 2 scores. Let's just paint it for everybody. 21-3, late in the third quarter. Kyler Murray's trying to make a check in the line. The ball gets snapped and hits him in the face mask. Does he fall on the ball? No. Draymond Jones falls on the ball, and then he dives next to Draymond Jones and then gets hurt on that play and has to leave the game. Imari DeMarcado, 72 yards. We were just talking about this 2 weeks ago, Pete, with A.D. Mitchell. Finished through the goal line. He was elated because he thought he scored, Has. He was also upset because he thought he was going to be the guy with Trey Benson and James Conner going to IR. They elevated 2 practice squad guys who got more carries than him. When he got his opportunity, that's what he did with it. He didn't finish the play. And then obviously we saw what happened on the sideline with him and Jonathan Gannon. That just cannot happen.
No.
So that's the one thing I want to watch with the Cardinals team. This kind of reminds me of your Bears last year, right? The Fail Mary and how the season went off the hinges. Yeah. We're going to see what leadership the Cardinals have, right? Because after your coach acted that way, right, when you had some adversity, how does the team respond to that? How does the team respond to getting gut punched and losing a game like that? This is where we'll see what the leadership looks like in the Cardinals locker room.
Jonathan Gannon came out and said, look, that was not a good look for him, and it's a terrible look. The players look at that and they go, what is he doing? Look, the kid feels bad enough. It's a stupid thing to do.
Correct.
And I don't get the whole idea of just putting it out. Why would you not carry it all the way through to the end zone and then you can do whatever the hell you want with it? That's just so stupid. And we saw it the week before. You would think every team in the league would put that up and show it.
Well, they do, and that's what makes it even more head-scratching.
And if it didn't happen, the Titans were going home. They packed their bags. If he scores that touchdown, the bags are packed. They're going home. In fact, Brian Callahan might be going home if that happens.
True.
As it turns out, they win the game, rally, and the Arizona's sitting there, 3 straight weeks. How do you recover from that? You know, that's going to be a real challenge for Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals team to recover from it.
All right, Pete Prisco's power rankings. We will go into the basement in just a second, but want to let you know that Pete is he's the star. I mean, I know you got Rand, you got Damian, you got Haley, but Pete's the star of the game day recap Sundays.
I will say so myself, by the way.
Yeah, I know you would. There's no I in team, but there's I in Prisco.
Sure
Pete
there
Prisco.
Sure there is.
Game day recap. They'll recap all the action from Sunday afternoon at 8:20 Eastern Time right here on HQ. All right, last and least, the bottom of Pete Prisco's power rankings. There's down bad. There's
why are you so disrespectful, man?
And there's the New York Jets. We'll get to the Jets in a minute, but first, here's our very own Leger Douzable just a handful of weeks ago after Joe Burrow was lost for likely the season.
Well, it'll be interesting, right? Because we were just talking about this off camera. They play the Vikings this week, which is going to be a battle of the backups, right? Carson Wentz and then Jake Browning. If they steal that game, Pete, and Jake Browning plays like he did 2 years ago and goes, 50%, goes 7-7, that makes them 10-7. They're probably getting into the playoffs. Yeah, exactly. I said if he goes 50%. I didn't say he was going to win every game.
He's gone 0%.
Yeah, that's the issue. But again, I came back the next week and said
I had a pair. She'd be my uncle.
I came back the next week, and you know this, Pete. I said I underestimated how bad that offensive line. He hasn't played well.
How bad Jake Browning is.
That offensive line is. Pete, I still don't think they even had 50 yards rushing in a game yet.
Look, the line.
It don't matter who's the quarterback.
Is this the new QB defender over here?
No, I'm just saying it doesn't matter who. They literally lost Joe Burrow because of the offensive line. It doesn't matter.
It matters. It matters because Jake Browning's tough.
With Joe Burrow, the offense didn't look good versus the Browns.
Quarterback behind a bad offensive line, you can get away with it sometimes. When you have a bad quarterback and get behind a bad offensive line.
Using that word sometimes.
How about Joe Flacco? What's the Joe Flacco trade?
To me, it makes no sense because Jake Browning right now in their career is a better athlete than Joe Flacco. We talked about how bad this offensive line is. Joe Flacco wasn't playing well. That's why they traded him. Matter of fact, they traded him within the division. As you never see this. Like, they feel comfortable enough to let Joe Flacco go to the Browns because they're not concerned about him going to the Bengals at all. So, like, I don't get it. And you see the numbers right there. Joe Flacco actually has a higher interception to touchdown ratio than Jake Browning does.
They both stink. They both stink.
So to me, it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, you're taking a chance to try.
Desperation is what this is.
Well, and it's desperation because Jake Browning stinks. He's terrible.
So is this offensive line,
Yeah.
and so is this run game.
Yeah, well, but the receivers aren't, and he's not.
They are good.
He's not getting them the ball enough. So you got to take a
They
chance.
should have put Brett Rippon in the game.
Huh?
Brett Rippon's there right now. They give Brett Rippon.
You think he can get him to the playoffs?
No.
I would have tried to get Jameis Winston. I don't think they could get him, though. I don't think the Giants would trade him. And
Probably not.
Russell Wilson, who wants him? That's part of the problem.
I would have loved to have seen Russell Wilson with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Just see if the moon balls can save.
That would have been fun to watch.
It would have been.
Jameis Winston would have been fun.
All right.
Joe Flacco could throw a deep ball, too. Let's not forget.
He hasn't thrown none in Cleveland.
Well, they didn't have any really good deep ball receivers in Cleveland either.
Leger, you tried last week. You really tried with your former team, the New York Jets. You looked into the camera.
You buried him.
And you basically told them to man up, for lack of a better term.
This week you're going to really.
And what they do, they got blown out by the Cowboys at home. Now they're in last place.
I don't even know where to start with this. It's tough, right? As a former Jet, I was all on board with Aaron Glenn, and again, it's going to take some time for him to turn things over. I think the concern for me, Pete, is it's getting worse, right? When you look at it, all the things he talked about being a disciplined team, they still are one of the most penalized teams in all of football. He talked about being physically and mentally tough. They're one of the few teams that did live tackling drills during camp. You would never know it by how you watch the film. Nobody makes tackles.
The worst tackling, they've had more missed tackles than anybody in the league.
Microcosm of the season. Let me take you to a play this past week, right? They have an opportunity for a tackle for loss on second down. Two guys miss it. Javonte Williams runs, gets the first down. The very next play, screen pass, goes for a touchdown to Ferguson. That's literally encapsulates what the Jets have been this entire season. Like, one bad play derails the entire game. When it was the Miami Dolphins, it was the fumble by Braylon Allen. Last week, it was Breece Hall fumbling the ball right in the red zone. Like, it's like they can't overcome the mistakes. Right now, they don't have the talent to overcome those mistakes. But again, I think the biggest concern for me is you preach being a disciplined, tough football team, and we have not seen that from the Jets this year.
You know, when I go to Buffalo, there are people that come up to me, they say, you work with Leger. Leger played in Buffalo. But how come he always rips on the Bills?
I don't rip in the Bills.
He's a big Jets guy. He loves the Jets, and he rips on the Bills, and he loves it. Well, now he's a big Bills guy because he's jumping off that damn bandwagon. You're off that
something else,
That team's
bro.
terrible right now.
It's
and
not
the weird
good.
thing about it is, Leger, and you'll be the first, you'll admit this with me, we were more concerned about the offense going into the season
Correct.
than we were the defense. The offense has run the ball at least. They've done some good things on offense.
Yeah.
The defense is awful.
It's been abysmal.
It's so who on that defense is playing well?
I mean, I think the biggest issue, too, your all-pro linebacker isn't there. Quinton Williams has actually played pretty well this year. He's the only one, though. Like, nobody else has played well.
Sauce Gardner's been good. You can't say anything.
Damian Sherwood has not played well either.
He's been worse, way worse than he was a year ago.
To me, and that's the biggest thing, right? Going into the season, I was like, the defense is actually going to have to carry this team. And it's been the total opposite. Like, the defense has not been good. And to Pete's point, they've been actually able to run the ball, but the turnovers, pre-snap penalties, the undisciplinedness has really hurt the Jets.
Somebody said to me the other day, oh, maybe they'll make a coaching change. Are you kidding me?
Not in year one. That's insane.
No way. It's unfair to him to be able to do that. Yeah. He deserves time to turn it around. But if they play this like this on defense the rest of the way, you have to throw a big major concern up about Aaron Glenn.
Well, he's letting Steve Wilks call the plays, and he came out and said he's not taking over play calling. So do you think that changes?
That's more than play calling. It's not the play calling. It's the effort. It's the tackling. It's the angles. It's all.
It's the want to.
Yep. You got to have desire.
And now they got to go all the way to London.
Yeah.
And take on the Broncos Sunday at 9:30
Chris, the weird thing, real quick, the weird thing about it is Aaron Glenn always had the want to when he played.
Yeah. So you would think his team would kind of come on with his mantra and how he feels.
Only team on record to not have a single takeaway in the first 5 games of an NFL season.
Crazy.
All right, those are Pete Prisco's power rankings. We'll see some really nice matchups on CBS this weekend, including 4:25 Eastern. We've got the doubleheader. We've got 49ers and Bucs. 4-1 against 4-1 in Tampa.